So welcome to the Rhode Island Department of State's Sunshine Week webinar series. I'm Jess Signa. I'm the Director of Data Analysis here at the Rhode Island Department of State, and I'll be emceeing and presenting these webinars throughout the week. The mission of the Rhode Island Department of State under Secretary of State Greg M. Amore is to serve Rhode Islanders by promoting transparent government, supporting businesses, and strengthening our democracy through a commitment to civic engagement, secure elections, and empowering voters. So we have many tools on the Rhode Island Department of State to accomplish this mission and make government more accessible to Rhode Islanders. We're really excited to share them with you over the course of this week. So just a few quick housekeeping items before we begin. So this session is being recorded and we will be sending a copy to everyone who registered. And then after the sessions, we'll be posting them to our Department of State YouTube channel. If you'd like to use closed captioning, you can do that using the CC button. It might be at the top or the bottom of your screen. If you click on that, you can configure that to your needs. And then finally, if you have any questions for me or for any of our speakers today or throughout the week, you can bring those up in the chat and we can either answer them aloud or we may answer them right in the chat. But either way, we will get you an answer to those questions as soon as we can. So today's session is our first, and I'm really excited to welcome the state librarian, Megan Hamlin-Black. Today's session is focused on public laws, bill searching, and the library. And I'm going to turn it over to you now, Meg.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Jess, for the introduction. And thank you all for being here today. I'm going to turn off my camera because I'm going to do a lot of live demoing and no one needs to watch me awkwardly drive. And when you should be focusing on what the content at hand. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, great. Let me turn off my camera. Okay, perfect. Make sure that okay, great. So, pardon while okay. So, as just mentioned, my name is Megan Hamlin-Black. I am the Rhode Island State Librarian, which means I oversee the state's legislative library and the State House. If you have not been to the State House Library, the State Library, please come. It is beautiful. It is open to the public. We are open Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30. And then when the General Assembly is in session, when they are debating on the floor, we are open. So let's see, tonight is a session night, so we'll probably be open until about 5 o'clock. It depends on when they are here. So the State Library has 3 librarians who work here, myself included. Our responsibility is to facilitate access to government information. Librarians love Sunshine Week. And there is so much information readily available that it can be difficult to navigate, and it's really hard to ask for what you don't know exists. So while I can't cover everything that I would love to cover in a 1-hour presentation, my goal is to demonstrate not just how to search for bills, laws, and what the State Library has to offer, but also provide a context in which this information is useful. And more than anything, I hope this presentation helps you feel that government information is accessible, that civic engagement can be part of your everyday, and at minimum, you feel comfortable calling or emailing us with questions you have about government information. And while we may not have it within our 4 walls, we do a really good job at making the connections with the state entities that do have the information. And then if you want any more information about the things I discussed today, a deeper dive, or if you want to hear me get on my government information soapbox about how amazing government information is, I will gladly schedule time to talk with you. So to get started, we are going to navigate from the Rhode Island Department of State's website. So sos.ri.gov, and from here, we're going to go to the Open Government Center. So in talking about public laws, I think the easiest entry point is to talk about the general laws. So when you go to cite a law, when you want to cite a Rhode Island law, you're going to cite the general laws. So we're going to go from here to the General Assembly's website. So scrolling down under laws and regulations, we see Rhode Island general laws. Now the general laws are organized by 3 different numbers. The first one is title, and that's going to be your broad brushstroke 50,000 foot level. From there, we're going to click in and it's chapter. So let's say we're interested in Title 29, which is libraries. And then, so it's title, chapter number. So let's say we're interested in the state library laws. So you'd say, oh, hey, I'm going to talk about Rhode Island General Laws, chapter 29-1. And then from here, it's section. That double S is shorthand for section. So if we're interested in the the library established state librarian, we would say Rhode Island General Laws, section 29-11 or 29-1-1. So that's a little housekeeping on how the general laws are organized. So going back out, the general laws you can see up here, they're up to date through 2024. And so let's say we're interested in, make sure that I keep let's say we're interested in plastic laws. So we're going to put the plastic search here. I don't love this search tool. And the reason why I demoed it is because I want to show the different ways to search. So this is giving us 500 results. I don't know about you, but I'm not going to search through 500 results. And it's giving things as, because of my knowledge of working with this is giving a House bill. It's not searching directly the general laws. So what I do when I'm wanting to search the general laws and I don't know where to begin, I go to Google. And so let's see, let's say plastic, Rhode Island laws. So searching down. So here, and here's where it says, see where it says General Laws of Rhode Island, section 2319.18-1. Now I would never use this site. I mean, the site is fine, but it's always important to go back to the general laws, like the original source. So 2319.18. So we're going to scroll down back to the general law page. So 23. Scroll down. (19.18), and then let's say we're interested in section 1 of that. So here's where we have our general law. So I used Google to work for me, but then it's always important to go to the official source, which is the state legislature. So in talking about public laws and why I say that the general laws for the purpose of this presentation is probably the easiest entry point, is this section down here where it says history of section. So you'll see PL 2022, this stands for chapter 176, that's section number again 1. And then PL 2022, chapter 177, section 1. So the PL stands for public law. This number is the year, and this is the chapter number, and then this is the section. So we're going to go in reverse order. So from here, I'm going to go to the Rhode Island General Assembly's website, which is rilegislature.gov. I'm going to click Bills and Laws and define the public laws. So we wanted the 2022 session. So right here on the sidebar, it says Public Laws, Acts and Resolves, 2022 session. We're going to click chapter number. And I need to bounce back and forth. So it's chapter 176 and 177. So instead of scrolling, I'm going to do Control F, 176. Okay, and we have 176 and 177. So let's open this. Oftentimes, when you see public laws in the history section from the same year, that is going to mean they are most likely the same. There's most likely one originated from a House bill and the other originated from a Senate bill. And in just a minute, I will show you how to see that. Okay, so I'm going to open both public laws. So here we are. Here's our public law. As you can see, the format is much different than the general law. However, it points to the section of the general law. So here you will see the general law citations. What this tells you is how the public law is going to be codified or organized into the general laws. So anything underlined is what was added. This is a brand new piece of legislation. So in 2022, so there's nothing that was removed. And so you can see here, and so 2319.18-1, 2319.18-1. And how I know that it is one originated from the House and the other originated from the Senate. So we have the chapter number here, 22H. That stands for House Bill. So it's House Bill 7065, substitute A. And this was S. So this is Senate Bill 2446. So that's how you start to search the public laws. And to give a better example of a more robust history of section, I'm going to pop over to some election laws. So the elections are Title 17. What was my example going to be? 5, and then 1.1. So here in the history section, we have this dating back to the 1980s. So this section of general law was first created in 1980. Chapter 381, excuse me, Section 2. It was revised in 1982, again in 1983, 84, 96, and so on. So what we can do is we can go back to the General Assembly's page, and we can go look at all the different iterations. Now, the General Assembly has the public laws, acts, and resolves. The public laws we're just focusing on right now, only online from 1994 through the present. In the state library, we received a grant in 2021 to begin digitizing the public laws starting in 1993 and moving backwards. It takes about 250 hours from the time we start scanning a book until it is in our online database per year. And that is because there's a lot of different reasons, but one of the big reasons is making sure that it's screen reader accessible. So we only have, through 1985. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to find, let's say one of the history of public laws was from 1988. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the Secretary of State's website. Here's the landing page, Civics and Education, State Library, Library Catalog. So this database is actually pulling together two different databases, and while recording on Zoom, it is a little slow, as you can see. I do want to show you. Okay, so what you'll do is you will click Public Laws, Acts and Resolves search. It will eventually come up. So what you'll do is you will choose which year you're looking for. You'll choose public laws, assuming that's what you're interested in. I went ahead and pulled up two different public laws so you can see what it looks like scanned from the books. It would take way too long. Oops, wrong one. Here we go. So what this is pulling from Preservica, which is a digital preservation and presentation platform. So we have, so this is Public Law 1988, Chapter 138, an act relating to mortgages. So you have the general law here. You have the underlined section here of what this public law added. scroll down. Okay, this is just adding, and then I have another one opened over here. And here you can see the crossed out. So anything crossed out. So this 1988, chapter 48, the creation of the insurance corporations, eliminated this section of general law and added new text. It made some changes here. So that's what that does. In terms of making it screen reader accessible, in the metadata, we go in the back end and we correct spelling because the scanner can't, the optical character recognition software doesn't pick up the font, the typeface very well. And we go in and we add tags. So right up here in the metadata, it says delete start, delete end. And then if there was a section added, it would say add start, would read the text, and add end. Just because if we're going to make it accessible, let's make it completely accessible. Okay. So that is the anatomy of a public law. That is the public laws. Oh gosh, where did my mouse go? Oh, I see some things in the chat. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Ariana. Okay, so now we're going to talk about bills. Now, there's a couple of different ways to search for bills. Again, let's hop over to the General Assembly's website. You want to start from home again, search bills and laws. And so here in the, where it says 2024 legislative session information, it's the top item, bill status / history. Again, I don't recommend using this search because it's going to pull the whole website. And the state doesn't have Google money to make it the most robust thing in the world. So there are ways to really use this to make it work for you. My favorite ways to search are by category, sponsor, and then if you have a bill number, obviously the bill number. So let's say you are interested in a bottle bill. There's been a lot of talk about the bottle bill over the past couple of years. So let's say that is something that interests you. So let's search by category. So we scroll down, dun, dun, dun. Maybe try plastic. Okay, I don't see anything plastic. Well, I'm thinking about in terms of a bigger category for plastics would be environmental protection. So let's try environment. Environment right here, enter. Now, these are all the bills that have been introduced in the 2024 session regarding the environment. So I'm not going to read through each and every one of these to see if a bottle bill has been introduced. So I'm going to do Control F. I'm going to try bottle. Okay. Ban state purchases of plastic bottles. Nope, that's not the one I'm interested in. And that's the only one. So I know there's been a bottle bill introduced at some point, but I'm not sure if there's been one introduced this session or not. So I'm going to honestly go back to Google to see if I can find anything that's going to give me ideas as to where this information has been introduced. So plastic bottle bill, Rhode Island. So I see nothing popping up on the General Assembly's page in my Google search. Clean Water Action, I know this is from 2023. So let's see. And of course, the internet is moving incredibly slowly today. And what I'm hoping for is that this article will either tell me who a bill sponsor has been, if it has a bill number. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so this is 2023. So Rec McGinty. So let's check, let's go back to the General Assembly's page. We're going to clear this and we're going to see if okay, so these are all the bills that she has introduced. That's not it. That's not it. Okay, so those are, so perhaps there hasn't been an introduction this year. So let's check the previous year. So in this drop-down menu where it says session year, we're going to do 2023. We're going to go back to the state rep. Enter. Okay, so here, the joint resolution creating a special joint legislative commission to study and provide recommendations to protect our environment and natural resources from plastic bottle waste. Okay, this is what I'm looking for. So this piece of this joint resolution was introduced last year. It passed, and the way I know that is because of this timeline right here. So it was introduced on February 10th. It was scheduled for a hearing. There was a proposed substitute. The committee recommended passage. It got sent to the Senate. The Senate passed in concurrence, transferred to the governor, and signed by the governor. Now let's talk about what this bill does, or let's talk about the anatomy of this bill, or any bill. So here's the bill. Since it's a resolution, it's not changing any general laws, but let's take a look at a different bill. We'll look at this one, House Bill 5471, as it bans state purchases of bottles, plastic bottles, bags, and polystyrene. We know that it didn't go anywhere because the committee held it for further study, and this was the last action on the bill last year. And it would have to be reintroduced this year, which, because of prepping for this presentation, I know it has been. So let's click on the bill number. And here we can kind of start to see the anatomy of the bill. It's the exact same layout as if this were to become law, the public law. So the bill in the public law format is really similar. You see this section of general law that would change. Anything in blue and underlined is added. Anything red crossed out is eliminated. So we have this really cool infographic here that I love. And I will, when the presentation gets sent out, I will make sure that this is part of it. So this breaks down the anatomy of a bill. So we have the year it was introduced. H means it's a House bill. Sub A means that it was amended in committee. If you see two lowercase a's or an AM, that means it was amended on the floor, which we can get into later. So as introduced by, introduced date, referred to which committee, and then this down here in parentheses means on behalf of, so a general officer or a state agency. The section of general law it would change, and then here are the amendments. And then the last page of pretty much every bill is an explanation of the bill. So if we scroll down on this one, we get a 3-line explanation of what this bill would do and that it would take effect upon passage. This actually will take effect upon passage. Some bills, some bills are in effect upon passage. Some give a window. So let's say it was passed. Let's pretend a bill was passed last year, and then it says this act shall take effect on January 1st, 2024. So that is that. Oops. I see some things in the chat. Let me look. Okay, nope, just more. Oh, thanks, Ariana. Questions so far? Okay, so I'm going to get back into why the timeline can be really, really helpful. So the committee meetings, as you can see, placed on scheduled for hearing or consideration March 17th, 2023, right here. Let's say that you're really interested in the discussion on this bill. So you can watch House and Senate committee hearings and the House and Senate floor debates online. And you can also watch the recorded version. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to rilegislature.gov. And from this top menu where it says watch, we're going to click here. Oops. So to see archived, so let's see if I remember. Okay, so that was, let me just pull the date one more time. Oh wait, no, I think I lost it. Oh yeah, March 17th of last year. So we are going to click House and Committee Archives 2022-2023. We know that it was, so it was scheduled, it was referred to the House State Government and Elections Committee. So we will, there we go, right here, down here. And so what you will then do is we scroll through to find what's the date. Oops, wrong one. Okay. Okay, I can't find, of course I can't. It's here somewhere. Here it is. 3/17/23. So you would click on here and then you would go through to see when the find the section of debate that they talked about this bill, and you can watch it that way. To watch live, back on. So this afternoon at 4 o'clock, the House is meeting. So it will be on live channel 1. So at 4 o'clock, you can click live channel 1 and you can watch the House on the floor. You can also go back and watch previous floor debates and all of that. When I have interns, whether they're library school student interns or interns through the State House Internship Office, I really try to encourage my students to watch watch them on the floor, either the House or Senate, either live from the galleries on the 3rd floor or record or online. And then also a committee. I just think it's really beneficial and useful information. So that is that question so far. Okay, so one more piece of information that's really useful in terms of this timeline. Let's say you're interested in how the General Assembly voted on this bill. So we need to know the date that it was read and passed. So we're going to go back to the General Assembly's page, bills and laws. Now there's 2 different ways to look this up. One, we can go to the House Journal, and one we can go to where it says floor votes. Here, under the 2024 legislative session information. So we're going to click, I'll show you both ways. Floor votes. We're going to do House votes. Let me pull that date one more time, because I'm going to forget. May 18th, okay. So we're going to scroll back to May 18th, 2023. Right here, submit. Okay, 5463. And so I'm going to do the Control F, 5463, so I don't. Okay. So here we are. Item 6 is item 6 on the calendar, House Bill 5463. 68 yeas, 5 nays, 2 not voting, 0 recused. Details. And so here we are. Here are the votes and what time it was voted on. The other way we can look it up is through the House and Senate journals. And now we get these journals in print copy in the library. And we have them going back to, I think, 1902. The journals are really helpful is if a floor amendment was introduced and not passed, because that's going to be in the journal. Now, a floor amendment, typically bills are amended in committee, but occasionally someone will introduce an amendment on the floor while they're in session to amend the bill on the floor. So we are interested in the journals, which are here, the 2023 session, House journals, May 18th. And so here's where we have what time they started. They're essentially the minutes. Invocation, all of this. So again, I'm going to do Control F. Okay, and so we have here, Committee on State Government and Elections recommends passage. Who moved? Who seconded? Discussion, and then how the representatives voted. Now, if there was a floor amendment, the text of the floor amendment would be in here. How the representatives voted on the floor amendment would be in here, and then a full vote of the bill would also be in here and how they voted. So that's getting a little in the weeds, but it's also just useful information to have. Questions? Great. Okay, so I'm going to pop back over to the library catalog. And we have a couple of really useful tools that we have put together. We've kind of created these mini databases within our online catalog to make it much more easier to search. So let's start with the state budget books. These are the governor's budget going back. It's going to take a minute, and I want to make sure that I have all of my information correct before I okay. Okay. So the Rhode Island's first state budget book was published in 1935. We have that in the library. It was a standalone singular book until 57. Now it's several volumes. So we have searching 1935 through 2000. 2001 is the first year that we have a digital version. So let's just show you how this works. Or doesn't want to work, it's fine. Oh my goodness. Okay, so here we are. So here are the different, I'm not going to open them because that will take way too long. But we have these physical books in the library, but these are also links to the digital version. So the executive summary, the program supplement, personnel supplement, etc. So that can be really useful. The same goes for fire districts. That's another question we get a lot. It's organized by fire district. I learned in creating this, working with one of the librarians on this project, that the first fire district resolution was in the 1700s. And then executive order search. This is another really useful mini database within our online catalog. It organizes executive orders by governor, with one lieutenant governor who issued 2 executive orders in the absence of a governor. So I'm going to get into searching the library catalog now. I really recommend always doing an advanced search. So we have some really cool stuff in our online catalog while it thinks about if it wants to work or not. We have all state agency reports. A lot of them now are being digitally published. So we have the digital version in here. And then we get about 30% of the federal core collection through the Federal Depository Library Program. So some fun, all government information is fun. Fun Rhode Island things we have is we have the official count books. Oops, I did not do that how I wanted to. I always recommend clicking which collection you want. If you want federal, general, preference, or Rhode Island. And I forgot to click Rhode Island because I was too excited about the official count books. But I can go through on the sidebar, and so I'll show you that. So all the official count books we have them in print, and we have them. I'm going to click over here on the left side, Rhode Island. We have them available digitally. The Board of Elections now publishes the official count for elections in Rhode Island. Secretary of State's office did do it for a while at the turn of the century, the turn of the 20th century. Okay, so primary and election count book. And you can see the full run. So if you're wanting to know how a vote in such and such year happened, how people voted, I think it's broken down by municipality for pretty much every year, how a certain municipality voted on a referenda question from 1958, for example. You click link to resource, it pulls up a scan of the book, and you can search that way. You can also call us, we're happy to help you. But that is one easy way one nice thing that you can find here. And then I'm also going to hop back to advanced search, and then highlight some of the state agency reports we have. So as the state clearinghouse, we are supposed to get all state agency reports. We have state agency reports going back to the early 1800s. I'm going to show an example from DEM, the Department of Environmental Management. I put it in quotes, click collection, Rhode Island, search. And it will think about working. And once it does, you'll be able to see every year that we've gotten the dam safety report from DEM. So annual report to the governor on the activities of the dam safety program. We like to show this because it has such a wide range of dates. Sometimes what happens is we'll have like a run of reports, like a series of reports. However, between administrations, between leadership, the name of the report has changed. So it's kind of harder to find like a full run with this click holdings. So here we are. I'm not sure why it's not showing in chronological order, but it is what it is. So 1999 through 2022. Looks like we haven't gotten the 2023 report yet, which is understandable because it's only March. So that is a lot of information and not a lot of time, covering how to search public laws, the difference between public laws and general laws, how to find bills, and then how to find some of the resources that we have in the state library. Again, any questions, feel free to reach out to us. We are more than happy to help answer questions. And if we don't have the answer, we are more than happy to help connect people to the resource. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Oh yeah, too many screens right now. Or okay, maybe not. I'm just going to keep sharing my screen because I cannot find my mouse at the moment. Oh, there we go. Stop sharing. And turn my video back on. Maybe. Okay. So any questions?
So Megan, you mentioned that you have some of your favorite questions or you get a lot of questions. What do you find is a typical question from the public? I know that
Okay.
you both legislature and their staff and the public, but
Yeah. Um, so from attorneys, we typically get questions about, hey, I need every time this general law was amended, and we pull every public law. We have the public laws going back to 1750. However, in terms of amending general laws, that only goes, we typically only have to search back to the 1890s. I have had to search back to the 1750s twice, and that was to pull a legislative charter. The questions from the public are everything from, hey, I read that this bill was passed. Can you tell me what it says? Or I have this much information. Can you help me figure out what I read something in passing. Can you help me figure out what it is? We've also gotten questions of, hey, I know this law exists and it turns out that it's actually a regulation. And so navigating that way. And that's one of the reasons why I recommend starting with Google and reverse engineering, because sometimes what we think is a law is actually a regulation, and that will help kind of narrow that down. We get questions on we do get questions about voting results. We get questions on what was the language for a school bond in, I don't know, 1986. Every day is a new treasure hunt. We have the Rhode Island Government Owners Manuals going back to the first one, which was 1868. We have a cross index of, if you're ever in the library and you see the card catalog in there, that is a cross index of legislation introduced from 1902 to 1992, all organized by year, and within that, organized by subject, organized by bill number, and organized by legislator. That proves very useful, because if you want to find a piece of legislation that died, that wasn't passed, you need to know what committee it died in based on how it's organized at the state archives. So let's say, for example, you're interested in a piece of legislation that didn't pass in 1986. So you come to us and you're like, I think it was introduced this year. This is the topic. I don't know the bill number and I don't know the sponsor. We can then go through our subject index, find a bill number, find what committee it died in. We're like, oh, it died in House Judiciary, or it didn't get voted out of House Judiciary. So then we call the state archives and we're like, hey, we're looking for bill number, it died in this committee. And they're like, great, we'll send it to you. Another thing that we do when we partner with the archives is sometimes people want to know what bill was originally introduced versus what ultimately passed. And so we'll pull the public law number, because for the archives to find it, they need the public law number. Like, okay, so this is Public Law 1988, Chapter 336. I'm just making up numbers. I need the original bill that was introduced, and then what ultimately passed, and they'll scan it and send it to us. And so those are some of the things we get a lot of, especially this time of year. And then commission reports and state agency reports, and yeah, government information is wild and fascinating and boring and exciting and filled with really weird gems. So thank you for listening to my soapbox.
So on that note, another question I was going to ask you is, what's your favorite takeaway for Sunshine Week for all of this information?
Oh my gosh. So I joke that I treat government information like hot gossip. And really, there is so much out there. There's such a breadth of government information that is really exciting and interesting. And like, we've received, not recently, but in my tenure, we've received APRAs for information that's already public. And yes, APRAs are really important for a lot of different reasons, but in the state library, it's like, oh, well, this is already available. We're not hiding it. Here, I will help you find us some more. So, APRA, access to public records. It's the state version of Freedom of Information Act request. And so I think government information is really exciting. It's really fascinating. There's so many rabbit holes to go down and fall down, and yeah, government information is really cool, is my takeaway for Sunshine Week.
Great. Well, does anyone else have any other questions for Megan or for the Secretary of State's office in general? No. So Meg, thanks so much. This is amazing. We know that you're a font of knowledge, and it's really exciting to present this publicly today to let the public know, let folks know that you and your staff are a resource in that space. And it's not just about getting a book, it's about the world of navigating all of our information. So thank you so much for being a champion of all of that and for illuminating all this information to us. And so thank you to everyone who participated today. We're really excited that you were able to share this time with us. And if you have any other, if you have any questions or thinking, visit Megan Library, call us up, email us. We are here to serve. That is our mission, as you know. So thanks for participating today. We have 3 more of these coming up tomorrow. I'll be presenting all of our election data tools. On Thursday, Stacey Jakula in our public information office is going to talk about open government and lobbying and all that information. And then on Friday, we have a presentation by our Kristen Cordero, who's part of business services, and she's going to go all over our business data hub and demonstrating those tools as well. So everything is really diverse and different throughout the week, and share with your friends, and we hope to see you soon. So thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you, everyone.